Hey everyone, I got a great show for you today. I have Colette Rivers Trotter with me, and she's going to talk about investing in real estate through her IRA. I connected with her via a story she shared on Facebook, and she was gracious enough to accept and be willing to share with us. How are you doing this morning, Colette?
Hey, I'm doing awesome. Excited to be here.
Yeah, it's going to be a great show. There are so many people out there that have an IRA. Maybe they had a 401k at their job that got moved. When they left, they moved it into our IRA. Some have created IRAs, and many don't think about investing in real estate via that. So,
Right.
so tell us about what you do in that.
Yeah, so I'm here in Richmond, Virginia, and I have a circle of investors such as myself. I've been investing in real estate since about 2005, 2004, 2005.
Wow.
And there are a group of rehabbers that I trust. And when they come across great deals that resonate with me and my requirements, then, I lend them money for their projects. And it works really well for them to help them continue progressing in their business. And it works well for me because I'm able to make much higher returns than I would by investing in securities.
Yeah. So just to sort of peel that back, you are essentially playing the bank, right? You are the
Yep.
lending institution, which typically means, depending on how your relationship goes, but typically there's maybe some monthly interest payments, or you set it up to get a piece of the action on the back end. Do you have a
Right.
basic structure, or is every rehabber different?
No, my basic structure is interest-only payments monthly throughout the course. Yeah, that's kind of my comfort level. And of course, you have all of the legal documents that are required. The interest rate is not fixed.
Yep.
It kind of depends upon the deal, depends upon the relationship, what the interest rate is that I charge. And sometimes there are points, sometimes there are not.
Yeah.
And I've been doing this for about 4 years now, and up until this point, I haven't delved into the equity share on the back end, but that's kind of in the future coming.
Yeah. So let's peel that back a little bit, just in case somebody's new to this. So when you talk about points, those are typically upfront, and we'll just use rough numbers of 100 grand. So for example, if you were working with a rehabber and you wanted to charge 2 points on 100 grand, that would be an upfront cost of $2,000, correct?
Correct.
And then,
Yeah.
go ahead. Sorry.
No, go ahead.
Okay. And then what you're doing is you're charging interest. Let's, again, just for easy math, let's say it's 12%, because I can do 12% interest really easy. On that 100 grand, that would be $1,000 payment every month.
Correct.
Right. And
Right.
then,
And those payments and those points are not sent to me directly. They are actually sent to my IRA. IRS rules, are all around the use of the IRA, which you can, which you cannot do. And so those payments, any funds, they come out of my IRA, and those payments go back directly into my IRA.
I'm so happy you brought that up. You cannot fundamentally touch $1 of that.
No.
Bad. Shame on you. Can't do it. IRS says no. Yeah, and you obviously have and I guess they would call it a trust or an intermediary to handle your IRA. You have it at a firm.
Yes.
You want to share which one it is?
Sure. So all IRAs have custodians and or trustees,
Yep.
Depending on the type of firm. And most folks are very familiar with Fidelity, Charles Schwab, JP Morgan Chase, because they allow you to invest in securities, mutual funds, stocks, bonds, and that sort of thing. But what I use is a self-directed IRA, and not every firm manages or oversees self-directed IRAs. And Quest Trust Company, which is based out of Houston, Texas, is the firm that I use. And I love them. Can I say I love a business?
But yes, you can. We love Quincy Long. Absolutely.
I love them. They are very responsive. They answer my questions. They kind of talk me through if I have an idea about maybe how to do something different or not quite sure. They cannot legally provide advice or guidance because they are not attorneys, but they definitely know their stuff when it comes to IRAs, what you can and cannot do, what the IRS regulations are. So they're kind of like my guardian angel that sits on my shoulder as I'm going through the process.
That's awesome. And yeah, Quincy Long is a great guy, and his company is pretty awesome. So, you know, for example, right, we talked earlier about equity share not being something you've done yet. If you wanted to do that, I could see you calling them up and going, hey, I'd want to do this. How, you know, what's the right way? What's the language to protect me, protect them? And they'd go, well, in some situations we've seen this and this, you know, because they can't legally advise, but they can provide examples.
Right. Yes, absolutely. Yeah. And it's funny because I was emailing with Rebecca Wednesday. And so I was saying, hey, I'm thinking about doing this on an upcoming potential opportunity. And I said, hey, if I set it up this way, is that going to raise any red flags and that sort of thing? And so she was guiding me, correcting me along the way. And, you know, I got an answer back the same day. And because, you know, I've had the opportunity to meet them at a recent event, it kind of makes their relationship even better.
Yeah, they make an investment and go out and meet investors. So they run a great shop. Let's go back to the example. So we had points, we had interest rate. The next, I guess, would be term, right? You probably have, I don't know what you would call it, an expected term or an acceptable term limit. I'm guessing it's less than a year, given these are flips, but you know, I don't want to assume. What kind of terms do you look for?
It's up until this point, because it has been flips at 150K or less. It's been 6 to 8 months. Because I'm a broker here, I know this market. When I'm looking at, you know, those opportunities when they come to me, I know the neighborhood, or I can research the neighborhood and kind of see what the average turn time is. So it's been 6 to 8 months up until this point.
Yeah, so that's you know, again, right? I do some flips and been doing real estate quite a while. A 6 to 8 month flip. That's a pretty significant remodel. You're probably not just doing carpet and tile and paint, right? You're changing configurations. You're adding square footage, perhaps. Is that a fair assumption, or I just don't know the Richmond market?
No, that's a correct assumption.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. And then, you know, let's just, you know, sort of round this out, right? You're comfortable lending up to 150 grand. You know, the markets, you sort of know what it'll be after. I'm assuming you're lending most, if not all, the purchase price and maybe some of the repairs, or does that vary based on the rehabber, or do you think that way?
I do think that way, and sometimes they need everything, acquisition and repair costs, and sometimes they've been able to work out seller financing, perhaps, where they don't need, you know, anything in regards to acquisition, where they repair costs. So it just depends on, you know, what they have been able to work out with the seller and what their needs are. Sometimes they have some, you know, stake in the game themselves. I know that, you know, the rule of thumb is to never use your own money, but it just depends on the person.
Where do you feel comfortable? Everybody's going to be different here, you know, when you watch this, right? Some may be comfortable up to 80%, some up to 50%, wherever that is. When you look at the after repair value, you have to make a judgment call sometimes. And do you have a kind of rough number you try to stay under?
I try to stay at 80% in order to end 100%.
Right. That makes sense.
Yeah. And so that's where my comfort level has been. And then, you know, worst case scenario, even if everything goes wrong, you know, this is a property that I potentially may own.
Right.
If everything goes wrong. And so that's a part of my acceptance criteria as well. If that were to happen, would this be a property that I would invest in myself if I was the active investor on this end of the deal? Or is this a property that I would enjoy owning as a rental property? And so that's a part of my assessment too.
I think that's great advice. And I don't think enough people do that, right? I think you always need to think about the worst case scenario. And the worst case scenario in this is you take the property back.
Right.
And I think that's great advice, because I don't think a lot of people do that. They almost skate through it. Certainly have to do, they do the first one. They're like, oh, they get a little cocky and they're like, oh, I get this game. And maybe they don't do their homework. I love the fact that you evaluate and ask yourself that question. Is it also safe to assume that you invest, I don't know, pick a mile, 50 miles from where you live, or 25 miles, or you invest only in Richmond, or does it go farther than that?
The Richmond metropolitan area, so I would say probably a 25-mile radius around Richmond is where all of the projects have been thus far that I have invested in. But as I'm looking and refining my goals for 2019 and kind of assessing how I want to fine tune my lender options and goals and that sort of thing, I'm kind of thinking through, is this something where I would be comfortable kind of going out further than that, and what that would mean in terms of my comfort level in evaluating the projects myself. And so I'm thinking about it, but it's been 4 years and this is kind of my comfort area and there's a lot of opportunity here.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure that I need to go out much further.
Yeah. I mean, I got to tell you, given Richmond's a big place, I think the newness or sexiness or whatever you want to call that, the attraction of going farther out is probably going to do you a disservice. I think being within 25 miles of your home is great. There's a lot of opportunity there.
Right.
I wouldn't waste a second thinking about that personally.
Okay.
So,
yeah.
One guy's opinion. What do you know? So I know one thing we talked about before the show started. I want to make sure we bring it up now. When you were just doing a self-evaluation of the properties that attract you and you sort of have an epiphany, right? Why don't you sort of share that, what you did and what sort of jumped out at you when you looked at the deals you've done?
Yeah, so let me go back to January 7th. So on that day, I was just really thinking about what's coming up for 2019. There was a project where I was about to be repaid on it, and the investor had called me and sent pictures, and she was really excited about, she had a contract and we were about to close and that sort of thing. And I had just obtained my broker's license, and I was talking to my new principal broker at my new commercial firm that I was joining. And I was just hyped and excited that day. And so I'm on social media, pretty active. And I posted about investing in real estate via my IRA and kind of why I was excited about it. And if anybody wants to know about it, give me a call and that sort of thing. And I was just excited that day. And so I posted it thinking that maybe one or two people would hit me up and maybe want to talk about it. And I probably had like 40, 45 people saying, hey, what is this you're talking about? I want to learn. I want to learn. I want to learn. And so then I had to put together, I'm like, I can't have these sessions one-on-one, so let me kind of pull some information together, see if I can get some space so I can talk about it. So, of course, that means you need to have some presentation slides, right?
Yeah.
You got to have some slides if you're going to be talking to a group of people. And so as I was kind of thinking through my thought process and writing out my outline, it caused me to start thinking about, okay, so Colette, why did you do this? What is it that attracts you to the properties? Because I knew that those would be questions that would be asked of me.
Yeah.
And so as I started to kind of go back and look over the resume of investments that I made, I said, all of these houses kind of look alike and are similar and that sort of thing. And I'm like, what is it? And they were all houses that were similar to my grandparents' house. Harvey and Dorothy Rivers. I spent so much time with. My parents were in college when I was born. And so that's when I spent so much of my time. And of course, it was a place of comfort. It was a place of love and that sort of thing. And so, yes, I evaluate. It's about the numbers. Everything has to be in place. Then there's this little soft component of investing where I have been attracted to houses that subconsciously I wasn't aware of. But when I stopped and took a look at it, it was properties that reminded me of my grandparents.
Oh, that's an awesome story. And we all like to talk about in real estate investing that it's about the numbers. It's about the numbers. I'm as guilty as anybody in that kind of talk track. But there is this emotional aspect, right? It is, you need to feel good about this.
Yes.
And, you're committed, you were saying 6 to 8 months and, they're within 25 miles of your house. So going and drive by and seeing the progress and, having that touchstone to remember your grandparents is pretty awesome. So, that's so cool. So, this is clearly working for you. That post that you put out, I think the one that I commented on and said, hey, we need to talk to some people about that. So thank you for being hype and putting it out there. I am curious, how did you get started in this, right? So you said, I think it was 4 years ago you started doing this. go back to day zero. What were you thinking? And, what's this IRA self-directed thing? And do you remember all of that?
Yeah, I think it was the first time I saw someone talk about it. It was Jim Ingersoll, who I saw.
We love Jim.
Yes. Talk about investing in your or investing in real estate via your IRA. I was in the process of planning my exit from corporate America. I had been in corporate America for 20-some years, and part-time, I started out as a real estate wholesaler. So back in 2004, 2005, I went to a seminar and I learned about wholesaling, and I would just pick a neighborhood and I would go down the street and knock on doors and ask people if they wanted to sell their house. And it worked. Did it work every time? No, but it worked.
Look at you. That's awesome. Totally door knocking.
Yes. I'm not sure that I would do that today. I feel like the world is a little bit different today, but back then, yeah. And I got some door slams, I got some no's, I got some maybes, but I got a few yeses too.
This was 2004, you said?
Yes.
Wow, that was pre-bubble.
Yes.
That was in the run-up. Wow, yes. Look at you. You've been at this game a long time, Colette. Impressive.
Yes. And so I was doing that. I had some rental property, and then the bubble occurred, and then I kind of got real estate PTSD. Is the best way to say it.
Yeah, absolutely.
I was scared. I know that there were some people who adapted and were still able to achieve some success. I was one of those folks where I was scared off because I had a method and it was working, and that no longer worked. And
the earth moved, right? The world shook, and what worked didn't work, and it was different for everybody. Lending changed, selling changed. I lived through it too, right? I started in like 2003, and the world, it was scary.
Yes, it was. And I was still a full-time employee at that time, and I lost $110,000 out of my 401k.
Now, just so we're clear, that was all stock money. That wasn't real estate money.
Right. That was stock. Yes. Stock money, my 401k, invested in securities, because that was before I knew anything about investing in real estate with my IRA or whatever. And so that hurt.
Oh, yeah.
As well.
Ouch. That left a mark.
Yeah. So, so kind of fast forward, when I heard about investing in real estate via my IRA, I knew that investing in real estate in whatever form you want to be an active investor can be profitable. There is intrinsic value in helping people, solving problems, and so forth. And I remember the pain of losing all of that money in my 401k, which was invested in securities. So you mean to tell me that I can plan for my retirement with my IRA, because I'm now out of corporate, so my 401k has been transferred over to an IRA, and I can marry that with real estate, which I know and like. So I was down to kind of take a chance with that, because I didn't feel like that was as much of a risk as investing in the stock market.
Yeah, I mean, it's when you have a foundation of knowledge and experience that you built up through 2004 to whenever that time was, that's particularly powerful, because right when you're investing in a 401k or IRA that's in securities, as we're calling it, you're throwing darts, right? Maybe you're doing some research, but you have no control over the market. You have no control over the sector, and you really have no control over the individual stock in the companies, because who knows who does what, says some stupid thing in a tweet or whatever, and you're down $100,000.
Right.
And when you get to real estate, you're like, no, I can look at the asset, I can look at the ARV, I can look at the repairs, and it's so much more control. It's not, I don't know if it's less risky. It's just different risk. You're basically betting on yourself, right? You're betting on Colette that you can look at the numbers, you can make a decision. Could it go wrong? Absolutely. But it's your decision, right? It's all on you. And that's the particular powerful part of using your self-directed IRA. And again, you rolled a 401k into that which is terrific. So, did you always do lending out of that when your first deal was a lending to a rehabber?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Very cool. And then do you still have rentals and you do your own flips on the side, or are you now just a passive investor as the bank?
For the past 4 years, or since I started my PTSD, I've been passive. I have not been active at all. However, as a part of my goals for 2019, I am reviving my wholesaling business. I actually have a goal for 3 flips this year.
Yeah.
I'm actually going to look at 2 properties this week as potential opportunities for my own flips. And then now that I've been sharing kind of the wonder of investing in real estate via my IRA, I'm now building a group of other like-minded people who are interested in doing the same thing.
Yeah.
So I may also be able to lend in opportunities that are beyond my ability to do it as a sole lender, but I may be able to pull together other lenders in order to do that. So really
exciting. You're on the cusp of some monster things. I mean, I can tell that you're into it. You're very personal. You're excited. You're going to attract some amazing things, and I think you're going to have some people that want to lend you money. Let's be clear, right? I think that's in your horizon or on the horizon, and that's when the world changes. You know, the world changed for me when I had access to private money back in 2010, 11, where everything was on sale. Once you sort of establish your relationships, you just give like you do. Things come back to you, and they come back to you sometimes in unexpected ways. So watch out for it. They're coming. And I wish you nothing but success. It's so awesome.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I appreciate it.
Yeah. So let's fast forward. This ought to be good. So you have your 2019 goals, but I like to stretch you a little bit, stretch my guess. Let's think 3 to 5 years out, right? You have your brokerage license. You have it at a residential shop and a commercial shop. But I'm curious, 3 to 5 years out, what's Colette doing?
What I envision is on the retail side that I would be totally out of the residential side, that I would be strictly on the commercial side. I find it to be really exciting to help other business owners with their real estate solutions. And the decision making, even though there may be a little emotion in it, is much less emotional than the residential side when it comes to retail. So that's one aspect of it. I would like to rebuild my rental portfolio. I know that there are some folks in our circle who own 60 or 100, and people such as yourself and that sort of thing. I'm not sure that I want to go that big. I'll continue looking at you guys.
It happens one rental at a time. I'm just saying.
I know, right? I remember. But the lending piece, whereas I'm able to, again, kind of grow this connected group of people who trust me, kind of want to work with me, and be able to support even larger projects in the area. That's kind of where I see myself as like that conduit to help other people who may not have necessarily known that they don't have to be strapped to a mutual fund, stocks, bonds, and that sort of thing, and help them to help their families. That's where my heart really is. That's where I see myself kind of playing the biggest in 3 to 5 years.
Yeah, that's, being able to help people fundamentally change their future is an awesome feeling. Right. That's essentially what I'm going to dedicate the rest of my life to is helping people just change their future. And, I can see that in your future as well. You already sort of see the momentum coming. You may not be able to see it because you're staring right at it, but it's about to get really, really good for you. So, I
received that.
Yeah. It should be fun to watch.
Yes.
This is pretty cool. So I always turn over the end of the show to the guests to sort of share how to get in contact with you. I know you're going to get people reaching out to you. So how's best to get hold of you? Any last things you want to share? Your Facebook, how they find you on Facebook, whatever you want. Go ahead.
Okay. Yeah, so first of all, I just want to say, I'm very humbled to even be talking to you, Michael, and have the opportunity to kind of share my story. I don't take for granted when people kind of notice and they want to take an interest. So I really thank you for that. If anyone wants to contact me, I'm in Richmond, Virginia. My phone number is 804-426-1336. My email address is Colette is your realtor at gmail.com. Colette, Colette, is your realtor at gmail.com. I have a website for my residential business is Colette is your realtor.com. And so have any questions, want information about anything that we've talked about, feel free to reach out to me. I'm glad to help.
Yeah, and I'll just second that. You can, I mean, hopefully you've seen by now, folks, that she's passionate. She has a lot of energy. She's been doing this a long time, right? 14 years, 15 years, whatever it is. So if you're looking for rental properties or you're looking for a home in the Richmond area, look her up, give her a call, right? She's nice enough to leave her phone number there for you. You want to leave it one more time, your phone number?
Sure, 804-426-1336.
Excellent, Colette. I want to thank you again very much for doing this. And this video is going to be wildly popular, I know. Thank you.
Oh, thank you so much. Have a great day.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye.